Hello everyone, welcome back to Where's the Bandwagon. My name is Will and this is our breakdown of The End of the World, the second episode of the revived series that has its full share of Easter eggs, references and secrets that we found while sifting through the production notes, trivia websites and books as we do an in-depth breakdown of this response to our first breakdown video of Rose. This episode, The End of the World, was specifically written by Russell T Davies to be expensive. While this does seem like a weird objective, the ambition of the episode allowed the BBC to show off what this revived series of Doctor Who could do and show off its budget. This was done to counteract the stereotypes associated with classic Doctor Who, namely the wobbly cameras, three-walled sets and bubble-wrapped monsters.
Don't provoke me.
It's a very expensive episode. That was absolutely deliberate in writing it. No episode will ever cost that much ever again or take us that much time.
And The End of the World does this. Reading any of the behind the scenes notes, you can see how much time, effort and money went into creating the alien designs, the CGI villains and the CGI environment. But the episode actually starts with a montage of the first episode, Rose. We've done a breakdown of that episode and you can click the card on the top right hand side of the screen if you want to watch it. The montage of course reminds viewers what happened in the last episode, but one of the most notable moments in this flashback comes when the montage replays this moment.
Is it always this dangerous?
Yeah.
This message would come true as the Doctor and Rose find themselves in massively perilous situations throughout the episode. The importance of the message would be repeated again at the end of the episode.
You've seen how dangerous it is. Do you want to go home?
When the montage is finished, the first shots of the episode begin and it continues right off from the last frame of Rose. This is rarely done in Doctor Who outside of two-parters. The choice of seamlessly continuing the last episode to the start of this episode was thought up by the episode's director, Euros Lyn, who we will talk about a little later.
Right then, Rose Tyler, you tell me, where do you want to go? Backwards or forwards in time?
This is the first episode of time travel and the writers don't hold back. In Doctor Who Confidential it is mentioned that this episode was used to get the new, younger viewers to understand what the show was about by having time travel and many aliens in the second story.
If Doctor's going to work, then let's go for it. Hold on. We're going to send them into the far future and have spaceships and a million monsters and, we live or die by that.
We see the Doctor flying the TARDIS and curiously the camera follows his hand as he operates each switch, step by step. Usually when we see the Doctor flying the TARDIS, we just see him flailing about around the TARDIS, so this is quite special. Because we do get to see him operate certain switches, we can guess what the certain switches do. For example, it's easy to make a guess that this wheel controls how far in time we travel, and that this funny thing is Eccleston's start-stop of the engines. Each Doctor has had one of these. David Tennant's was this, Matt Smith used this, Peter Capaldi used this, and Jodie Whittaker has this. The Doctor and Rose visit multiple future years on their way to the year 5 billion, starting with the 22nd century.
There you go, step outside those doors, it's the 22nd century.
You're kidding.
A number of previous storylines have occurred during this century. For example, the first Doctor story, the Dalek invasion of Earth, takes place in the year 2157. We also know from the episode Listen that humans have developed time travel by this point. The 22nd century would also be the century that Ganger technology and the episodes The Rebel Flesh and The Almost People are set. Finally, the underwater base of the Drum, which the Doctor and Clara visit in the episode Under the Lake, would also be built in this century. So maybe behind those doors would have been the events we see in those episodes. Next, the Doctor takes them to the year 12,005 and the new Roman Empire. Surprisingly, I don't know of and couldn't find any audiobooks, novels, comics or references where they explore the new Roman Empire, which surely would be an amazing timeline to visit. I love that Rose says,
You think you're so impressive.
I am so impressive.
You wish.
This is a great bit of dialogue to show that Rose is playing about and is relaxed. It also shows that the characters are familiar enough with each other to tease each other. Eccleston's performance reminds me of a young child showing his friends a cool new toy he got for his birthday and is excited to share it with them. Rose jokingly challenges him.
Right then, you asked for it, I know exactly where to go.
The Doctor then reacts by taking her to this mental location for her first trip. A few minutes later, when the Doctor explains where they are, he has that kind of "you asked for it, here it is" grin on his face.
Welcome to the end of the world.
The reason for him taking her to such an emotional and personal event in her first trip in the TARDIS could be explained by this dialogue. But also, throughout the episode, we see a deeper message come through. You see, in the first episode, and in the majority of this episode, as soon as Rose asks anything like, "Who are you?" or "Where are you from?", the Doctor goes silent and puts this question off. He's completely closed. But by the end of the episode, however, he opens up, revealing his most troubling secrets. He might open up at the end here because now he knows that Rose knows what it's like to see her planet get destroyed, and therefore will understand him better when he tells her the secrets. So here he might be taking her to this event to see the Earth get destroyed so that he can travel someone who knows what it's like to lose their home planet, so that he can share that he's the last of the Time Lords. The Doctor rings the bell as they arrive, and he doesn't tell where they are. We follow Rose out of the TARDIS feeling the same kind of mystery and excitement, waiting for the reveal of where we are. This episode is designed to get the audience to experience time travel and aliens, and we watch through Rose's eyes. The first thing we see is this. Now, I always thought this was a small, metre-wide vent in the side of the wall, but it's actually the shutter of the observation deck. When looking on the myths about this episode, there was an entry which said that this was a common mistake. What is commonly mistaken for a ventilation duct is actually the shuttered window in the smaller observation room. The Doctor opens it after he exits the TARDIS. So was that just me, or did some of you also think this was a vent as well? Let me know in the comments so that I don't think I'm going insane. The Doctor's speech about how we're all worrying about how we're all going to die is so good. Series 1 dialogue holds up with the best of them. But that married with Eccleston's acting is so special and something that is sorely missed when he goes. We are in the year 5 billion, which is so stupidly far in the future. The Earth currently, at time of recording, isn't even 5 billion years old. And when you think of the huge leap in technology we've accomplished in the last 100, even 50 years, 5 billion years in the future from now is just ridiculous. I love the fact that the year has the word apple in it, implying that the number of years got so large that people needed a more convenient way of categorizing them. So this episode takes place in the years 2005 and 5 billion. The year 5 billion would come up again in a few other Doctor Who stories. For example, Agatha Christie's book we see in The Unicorn and the Wasp would be printed around this year. And when the Doctor and Martha are in the TARDIS fleeing from Captain Jack in Utopia, the year 5 billion is one of the years the Doctor reads out.
5 billion? 5 trillion? 50 trillion? What?
Russell T Davies wanted to include a reference to the classic Doctor Who story, The Ark, where earlier versions of the script included a mention of the remnants of humanity escaping the doomed Earth aboard massive space arks. The Doctor uses his watch to time the flare from the sun with his impressive introduction to the event. This raises a few interesting points. Firstly, does his watch just adjust to whatever time he's in? Or did he know how many seconds after they landed that the sun would do this burst? Either way, it shows that he has such a broad intelligence of this event, knowing down to the second when the sun would burst out like this.
Welcome to the end of the world.
As I've mentioned in the last of my breakdowns, I don't want to point out any goofs or production mistakes in these episodes. However, there is one thing I want to ask you guys about. As the Doctor and Rose are looking out over the Earth, we can see these semi-transparent squares which are also over the Doctor and Rose. What are these? If anyone could help me out, I'd be really grateful. You know, I just can't get my head around what they could be. Then we get the titles, and the first shot after this is an expensive CGI shot. These graphics are meant to be a statement to what this series could achieve. It also introduces the environment of the episode to the viewers. This shot is matched with very alien sounding music, which is called Cassandra's Waltz. It's well known that Russell T Davies wanted to prove that this revived series could change how people saw the production of Doctor Who. The majority of this series' whole effects budget was used in this just single episode, and their ambition stretched out even further to what they achieved with multiple CGI scenes that were just simply cut due to a lack of time and budget. In the BBC book, The Shooting Scripts, you can read a few of these scenes that were cut. These scenes included an extended discussion between the Doctor, Rose, Jabe and Cassandra, and a scene where, as Rose is about to die, Jackie calls her back and they talk again on the phone. This mirrors the scene in 42 where Martha is drifting towards the sun and she calls her mum to have a heartfelt chat. In another deleted scene, it is shown that the Doctor has 9 strands of DNA instead of just 1. This would have been a reference to him having 8 previous incarnations, although if this scene had aired, it would have caused questions about how there isn't one here for the War Doctor's incarnation. To make up for these cut scenes and the resulting underrunning of the show's length, Russell T Davies included a scene where Rose meets Raffaello, but more on that scene a little later.
We wanted it to be a kind of hotel for the poshest, richest and most influential aliens in the universe.
Please welcome the Face of Bo.
So we wanted to have a little taster of what these creatures might look like.
The voice of the automated system says,
Guests are reminded that Platform 1 forbids the use of weapons, teleportation and religion.
The ban on teleportation rule would be brought up again by the steward.
Guests are reminded that the use of teleportation devices is strictly forbidden.
And it introduces us to this rule that Cassandra would ultimately break later in the episode.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I know the use of teleportation is strictly forbidden, but I'm such a naughty thing.
The ban on religion line is a great, fun, quirky line, but it's also there to allow our imaginations to run wild with what religion could be like this far in the future. We do see later in Doctor Who episodes that some religions have become more military-like by this time. The announcer also says,
Earth death is scheduled for 15:39, followed by drinks in the Manchester suite.
This is meant to show us that This is almost a casual event, and that while it literally is the end of the world, it's not a big deal for the attendees. The casual dialogue between the Doctor and Rose about aliens.
So when it says guests, does that mean people?
Depends what you mean by people.
I mean people. What do you mean?
Aliens.
Is meant to get the audience ready for what is to come, namely the crazy aliens. The casual behaviour of the Doctor towards the weird and wonderful aliens that we would see comes up again when Rose gets surprised by the steward.
He's blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
This makes it seem all so casual and normal, and that we are the weird ones for thinking it's not normal. Thanks for watching this part 1 of my End of the World breakdown. Tomorrow in part 2 we'll be breaking down all the different wonderful aliens and going into some history about the planets that they're from. That'll be out at 4 PM tomorrow, so subscribe if you want to see more Doctor Who stuff. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.